Welcome to the Slut Next Door podcast, where we dive deep into desire, unravel kinks and fetishes, and explore the deliciously naughty side of self-discovery. I'm Beatrix Vale, an erotic audio creator, and your guide to all things kinky and curious. So let's begin. Welcome back, darling. And if it's your first time here, I'm so glad you've joined me. Because today, we're going to unlock one of the most fascinating and essential parts of hypnosis, the hypnotic induction. If you've ever wondered what exactly happens at the beginning of a hypnosis session, when you hear my voice guiding you down deeper and deeper, that is the induction. But it's so much more than just a way to relax. It's the doorway to your subconscious. And the art of creating that experience is just as important as what happens after you're already in trance. So in this episode, I'm going to explain what an induction really is, how it works to help you slip into trance, and why the words and patterns I use, which is called hypnotic language and NLP, why these things make such a difference in how you feel. And then I'm going to share some of the different styles of inductions you might encounter so you can start to notice and even appreciate them in a whole new way. So let's get started. And we're going to start at the very beginning. What exactly is a hypnotic induction? So to put it simply, an induction is the process of guiding someone into a trance state. It's how I help your mind shift gears from your normal, alert, conscious thinking to a more quieter, more focused state where you can access your subconscious more easily. So you can think of it like opening the door to a different part of your mind, one that's always been there. But usually it's tucked away behind the noise of everyday thoughts. In hypnosis, the induction serves two main purposes. So first, it helps quiet your conscious mind, that chatty, logical part of you that usually likes to analyze and resist. And second, it focuses your attention inward, making you more receptive to the suggestions and imagery that follow the induction. And it's not about me forcing anything onto you. It's about creating the right conditions for you to allow yourself to go deeper. And this is why you might hear people describe trance as something you allow or decide to enter, because that's what's really happening. Hypnosis is a cooperative process. Like, I can guide you, but you're the one who says yes to letting go, even if only on a subconscious level. And here's something you may not have realized. You already know what trance feels like. Every time you've gotten lost in a daydream, driven home on autopilot, and barely remembered the drive, or become so absorbed in a book or a movie that you feel like you've lost track of time, you were in a natural trance state. So the induction simply helps you recreate that feeling on purpose in a more focused way. So we can use it to make changes, deepen pleasure, or explore your subconscious in a guided way. So at its core, An induction is really just kind of like a bridge, this beautifully constructed bridge between the everyday and the extraordinary, between your conscious and your subconscious mind. And once you cross that bridge, that's where the real fun begins. So now that we've defined at a basic level what an induction is, let's talk about why it works. Because understanding this can make the experience of going into trance feel even more natural and easy for you. So, at its heart, hypnosis works because of how your mind is built. So, you've got two layers of your mind: your conscious mind, the part you're using right now to listen to me, to analyze my words and think about what you're hearing. And then you have your subconscious mind, the deeper part of you that stores habits, feelings, memories, and automatic responses. And in everyday life, your conscious mind acts almost like a gatekeeper. It it will filter suggestions, judges them, and decides what you'll accept. But when you're in trance, that critical, judgmental part of your mind relaxes. Like it's still there, it didn't go anywhere, but it lets the gate swing open, allowing you to access that more receptive, creative, and emotional subconscious space. So that's why hypnosis can be so profound. It's not that you're unconscious, you're not asleep, but you are tuned in, like inward, and your subconscious mind becomes the star of the show. You're open to new ideas, new sensations, new ways of thinking that your conscious mind might otherwise block or resist or just simply get in the way. So, an induction works by creating the perfect conditions for that shift to happen. It guides your attention away from external distractions, and then it encourages physical relaxation and often uses specific kinds of language, hypnotic language, which we'll talk about more in a moment. So it uses all these things to bypass resistance and help you let go. And it's also important to remember that hypnosis is a natural state. You already go in and out of light trances all the time. When you daydream, when you're lost in thought, or even scrolling through your phone. The induction simply gives your mind permission to slip into that state intentionally and stay there long enough to do something meaningful with it. So the induction works because it works with you, not against you. It's just taking advantage of how your mind already operates and gives you a pathway to go deeper. And that's part of what makes hypnosis so powerful and so personal, because every trance you experience is yours. And I'm just here to guide you there. So now that you understand what an induction is, why it works, let's talk about one of the most important tools that I use and other hypnotists will use to make an induction effective, and that is language. So when you listen to a hypnotic induction, it might just sound like I'm telling you to relax and close your eyes, but the way those words are chosen and delivered is far from accidental. So the phrases I use are crafted to slip under your conscious radar and speak directly to your subconscious. And that's what we call hypnotic language. So, hypnotic language is a style of communication that's designed to bypass that critical part of your mind and help you follow suggestions more easily. So, it uses things like gentle assumptions, what I'll call it. And what I mean by this are statements that assume you're already starting to relax, even before you consciously notice. And then embedded commands, which are like little instructions tucked inside longer sentences. So your subconscious hears them as directions without resistance. So, for example, instead of saying, "You will relax now," something I might say instead is this: "And as you listen to my voice, you may begin to notice how easy it is to relax." So one feels like a demand, and the other feels like a irresistible invitation. That subtlety can make all the difference. And this is also where something called NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, this is where it comes in. And so all that really means is it's a set of techniques and understandings about how language and thought patterns shape our feelings and behaviors. So in hypnosis, NLP principles can help me choose words, rhythms, and even metaphors that resonate with how your brain already processes information. So, one example of NLP in action is mirroring the language you use to describe your experience, which helps build rapport and makes the suggestions feel more natural to you. Another one is called anchoring. So that's like associating a certain word, touch, or tone of voice with a particular feeling. So your mind learns to respond automatically the next time you hear it. But when you put together NLP and hypnotic language, they work hand in hand with your mind's natural tendencies, and they help make suggestions feel familiar and easy to accept rather than something you have to consciously work at. And that's why when you listen to me guide you, maybe it often feels like you're just slipping into trance without even trying. And the other thing about erotic hypnosis files, because it's so dependent on sound, there really is something to tone and the rhythm of talking. So when I talk in this podcast, it's not so hypnotic because I'm just speaking like I usually would, right? If we're having a conversation. Where in hypnophiles, I'm a lot more controlled in my voice, and I definitely get into a sort of rhythm, especially in the induction, because I'm wanting your brain to just follow me. And so giving you kind of like a rhythm to follow helps you slip into that trance. So, like I've done many times before in the podcast, I'm going to give you a little taste of what NLP and hypnotic language actually feels like in action. So you can better understand what I just meant when when I was defining those terms. So this is just a quick, gentle experience. You don't have to do anything special. You can just simply listen and just notice how the words affect you and enjoy whatever happens. And you can close your eyes if you'd like. Only if you're in a safe environment to do so. Or you can keep your eyes open and just let your mind wander as you follow along. As you listen to my voice now, you might already notice that you're beginning to settle just a little more comfortably, aren't you? And as you do, you can allow your mind to wander to a time when you felt very calm, very safe, very at ease. You don't even have to try to remember it clearly, because your subconscious knows exactly how to bring that feeling back to you now. That's right. Just noticing the little things, the sound of my voice, the way your body feels supported, the subtle slowing of your breath. All of that is already happening for you now, isn't it? And the more you notice those little things, the more you might find yourself relaxing even more, which means you're already doing exactly what you need to do. Good. And in a moment, I'll say a word. And when you hear it, you can let that calm, easy feeling double, even if you weren't aware just how deeply you could relax already. Ready for the word? Now, deeper. That's right. Deeper. And as you hear that word again in the future, deeper, you may even notice your mind automatically begins to drift a little further each time, because your mind is learning, isn't it? And now, when you're ready, you can bring yourself back, knowing that you've just experienced a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming in action, and a glimpse of just how powerful your mind already is. All right, so welcome back. And I hope you enjoyed that little experience. Now, I'm going to walk you through exactly what just happened so you can understand some of the NLP techniques and hypnotic language I used and why they're so effective. So first, you might have noticed I started by describing things you were already experiencing, like listening to my voice, feeling supported, noticing your breath. So this is called pacing. And it's done by acknowledging your current reality. And I help your mind feel seen, which builds trust and makes it easier to follow along, because obviously you're already listening to my voice. You are always supported when you're sitting or laying down. You're always breathing. I'm just talking about them. I'm recognizing them. We're recognizing them together, acknowledging your current reality, helping your mind feel seen. And so from there, I began leading a little bit. So I invited you to let your mind wander to a calm memory, or even to notice that you were relaxing more deeply. So, because your subconscious already agreed with the pacing, it's much more likely to agree to the next steps. And then I use those subtle assumptions, those statements that assume something is already true. So, when I said, you might already notice you're beginning to settle, it assumes you are settling, which makes your subconscious more likely to accept that suggestion without resistance. So I don't want to call it lying, because it's not lying. It's like framing in a way, making an assumption. And then your subconscious mind just likes to follow through with that. You might also remember that I use the word deeper as a sort of kind of like a cue. And I invited you to notice how the calm feeling doubled when you heard it. So that's called anchoring, connecting a specific word, touch, or sound to a mental or emotional state, so that in the future, hearing the same word can bring you right back to that feeling automatically. And then sprinkled throughout there were embedded commands, like little suggestions tucked into longer sentences, such as I said, allow your mind to wander, or you can let that calm feeling double now. So, because they're hidden within a more conversational flow, your subconscious picks them up more easily without that critical conscious resistance. So even though it probably just felt smooth and relaxing, what was really happening was a carefully designed process to help your mind relax and become more receptive, all through language alone and a little bit of pacing and my voice. But that's what makes neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and hypnotic language such powerful tools for inductions. They work with how your mind already operates. So it just makes it feel even more natural and effortless to go deeper. So moving on, now that you know what an induction is, why it works, how language shapes the experience, let's talk about some of the different ways hypnotists can actually induce trance. So there is not just one right way to guide someone into hypnosis. In fact, there's dozens of styles, and each creates a slightly different experience. So, I'm going to walk you through a few of the most common and effective induction techniques. So, you can start to recognize them when you hear them, or even figure out which one you enjoy the most. So, the first one is progressive relaxation. This is one of the most familiar inductions and a favorite, an easy one for beginners. In this style, I'm going to guide you to relax your body step by step, usually starting with your feet and then moving up to your head. And as you focus on, each muscle group letting go, your mind follows, becoming quiet and calm, just like what's happening in your body. And this style is very soothing, gentle, very effective for deep physical relaxation. Another popular induction, I would say, is a confusion induction. So, this one is a more advanced induction that uses contradictory, unexpected, or complex language to just overload your conscious mind. So the idea is that your conscious thoughts get tied up trying to make sense of what's being said. And then in the meantime, your subconscious slips right through the cracks and into trance. And some say that it feels disorienting at first, but it can be very effective at bypassing resistance. And obviously, each induction isn't going to work for everyone or maybe be like a favorite for you. It's kind of like ice cream flavors. You know, you have your favorites, you have ones that you don't like, you have ones that you try and maybe never go back to. You know, it's all in how your mind receives these inductions. Now, another popular induction trance is the eye fixation. And I feel like this can be done in audio files. I've definitely used it. I think it's an easier method for sure to use with either visuals or in person, but it's usually focusing on an object, even someone's eyes. And as you stare, you're given suggestions to relax, blink, feel heavy, or feel sleepy. And then eventually your eyes close on their own and you're already drifting in the trance. So it's a very traditional technique. Like think about the swinging pendulum, you know, it's eye fixation. But it's still used because it works so well, especially when combined with deepening suggestions afterward. Another, I would almost say this might be one that I hear a lot of people say they like, is fractionation. So, this is a fascinating technique where I would bring you in and out of trance lightly over and over. So each time you come back up and then go down again, you find yourself going deeper and deeper. It plays on the idea that each little dip into trance trains your mind to let go even faster the next time. I remember reading when I first started studying this method is that, you know, once you are put into trance, it feels so good, right? It's so relaxing. Like laying in a cool, see, I like cold covers. So for me, it would be laying in my cool sheets and covers, the fan blowing towards me. It's dark, perfectly, you know, just perfect sleeping conditions, fluffy pillows, soft blanket. You know, when you feel that relaxed, you don't want to get up. You, it just feels too good. So, fractionation is where you're put into that perfectly comforting space, brought up, which is jarring a little bit. So, when you go back down into trance, you have no choice to because you just want to feel that good again. You want to relax again. And so then when I bring you up again a second time and then put you back down under, then it almost becomes a little frustrating because you're like, oh my gosh, well, she stopped bringing me out of trance. But that works towards trance because it's proving to your mind that it feels better to let go. Perfect, right? Um, so I wanted to hit on this, which is like permissive induction versus authoritarian. Um, because I use permissive a lot. So I'm offering very gentle choices in a lot of my inductions, inviting you to notice what happens, while other hypnotists, even maybe some of mine, I may have used this in the past, are more authoritarian, like giving direct, commanding instructions. And they both can be very effective depending on your personality and the dynamic you enjoy. You may even find you respond differently depending on your mood. So, all of these are just a few examples of induction techniques, or there's so many more. And creative hypnotists are always blending and inventing new ones. So, no matter what method is used, though, the goal is always the same. It's to help you cross that bridge from everyday awareness into a more open, receptive state of mind. So, the next time you feel yourself sinking into trance, maybe take a moment to notice which pathway you're walking down and just how good it feels to let yourself go. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. A little journey into the art and the science of hypnotic induction. So we talked about what an induction really is, the doorway to trance, how it works by quieting your conscious mind and then inviting your delicious subconscious to step forward. We explored why your mind is already wired to enter trance and how a skilled hypnotist can simply guide you into that natural state with care. And you also learn that neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotic language, how these subtle choices in words and phrasing can make suggestions feel almost irresistible. And then, of course, we touched on a few of the many different induction styles, and I even gave you a little taste of NLP in action. So I hope you're walking away not just more informed, but also just more aware of how powerful and playful your own mind really is. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really like to hear from you. So feel free to send me a message, share your thoughts, do it in the comments, or if you are on my site like Loyal Fans, you can send me a message in my DM telling me what kind of inductions you like, or which ones you're curious about, which ones are your favorites. If you have no idea, that's okay too. And of course, if you'd like to explore any of these concepts deeper, you know where to find me. Go to missbeatrix.com. That's MISSBEATRIX.com. Until next time, I want you to remember this. Trance is already inside of you. All it takes is the right words and a willingness to let yourself drift there. And that's a wrap for this episode of The Slut Next Door, where we dive deep into the raw, unapologetic truths of human desire. If you loved what you heard today, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a juicy moment. Want to connect with me outside the podcast? Click the link in my bio where you can find lots of juicy content and options. Until next time, I'm Beatrix Vale, your Slut Next Door, and I'll see you in the next episode.